We know life is fleeting. We live side by side with death. Even then, we still hope. Once more, a year, a day, even for just a moment more, we wish to live. Listen, Suzume, no matter how sad it is now, one day you'll grow up. Don't worry, the future is not that scary. You'll meet people whom you'll care for, and meet many people who will care for you. You'll meet many of them. The night may seem endless now, but the morning will come. You'll grow up basking in that morning light. I'm sure of it. It's been written in the stars. No matter what happens, no one can stop it. I forgot. I've been given everything I needed a long time ago. I am your tomorrow. Suzume, in my opinion, is one of Shinkai's most complex films yet. There is a lot that he wants to express and say through the main character Suzume's narrative. And I think the first and foremost message is victimhood from disasters, specifically the feeling of missing a piece. In the case of Suzume, it is about earthquakes. The beginning of Suzume's journey takes place in Miyazaki. It references the 2016 April 16th Kumamoto earthquakes, magnitude 7.0, causing fire and evacuating 45,000 people. Then there was the 2001 March 24th Gale earthquake, magnitude 6, as well as the 2014 March 14th Ionada earthquake, magnitude 5, all in Ehime, destroying thousands of buildings. The plot references the destroyed school grounds. Then the plot references the 1995 January 17th Kobe earthquake, in which more than 45,000 people became homeless. The movie features Kijonuma Leisureland, the abandoned amusement park. Tokyo is another meaningful stop. Danji specifically mentions the Kanto earthquake in 1923, September 11th, which is about 100 years ago. 7.9 magnitude, 143,000 deaths. As well, there was the other earthquake in Tokyo in 1855, 11/11, November 11th, equally devastating, magnitude of 7, 14,000 buildings destroyed. One thing worth mentioning is that 11/11 is also the day movie aired in Japan. The date has its significance. The last stop is the 3/11/2011 Tohoku earthquake, magnitude 9. Many of the signs on Suzume's journey back home still say evacuation zones. The movie also references many famous pictures, like the ship straight on top of a house. There were many people missing, dead, and displaced. Beyond the numbers are death of real human lives, lost, displaced, and destroyed. It's a feeling of missing a piece for many of the survivors. So we're starting with the three-legged chair, which is probably the attention grabber throughout the film. Why does it only have 3 legs? I think it has something to do with some types of disabilities or that feeling of missing a piece. Sota, throughout the film, goes from not knowing how to use his body to learning how to adapt to it. Even with 3 legs, he kept going. The anime really tries to humanize him as a chair on the boat. Suzume touches the chair and Suzume by saying, wow, like the chair is warm. The chair is like many victims who felt like a part of their life missed a piece ever since the disaster. And Sota is, I think, almost an inspiration to keep going, whether physically or mentally. That feeling of something missing is also manifested through Suzume painting her entire journal over the earthquake black. All the memories about the earthquake and the trauma are blocked out, but that does not mean it went away. She still misses her mom. Almost fell from the Ferris wheel to see her mom again in the afterlife. Suzume is not afraid to die. She wants to protect others from suffering the same pain she did in the earthquake. And also, she also wants to see her mom. Her journey taught her to live. In struggling how to console her younger self who just lost her mom, she told her that she has a tomorrow. She will bask in light and love. And that's all the reason why today is worth living. The fact that we know there is a tomorrow, that is the greatest gift. Beyond that, disasters also have a big impact on everyone else. Suzume's aunt, she sacrificed her entire life to raise her sister's daughter. And all the nice, beautiful people Suzume meets along the way, a piece of them is missing too, with a string that holds a lot of memories to the place that were abandoned. Promises that were not able to be kept because of disasters. To go back to the bathhouse again, to go back to the amusement park or the school again. All these emotions are hidden, tucked away. They are the Himitsu god, the god that does not see the sun. It is in Sota's chant before he says, "We return the land to you," and closes the door. Forgive us for calling out your name, the god that does not see the sun. It is a made-up character. It shows up in the form of Mimitsu, an earthworm. Interestingly, Himitsu, the god that does not see the sun, and Mimitsu, the earthworm, are only one letter apart. Mimitsu is Himitsu. The earthworm is the god that does not see the sun. In Japanese mythology, it is actually a big catfish that causes earthquakes. People use keystones to control the catfish from quivering the earth. Shinkai here uses a worm instead. Some may say that it makes the god and disasters more neutral. It is this expressionless character that can be interpreted in many ways. And yes, keystones are a real thing. They are spread throughout Japan in the beliefs that they can guard lands and prevent earthquakes. It is also worth noting that Suzume's last name, Iwato, has a direct reference to the goddess of sun, Amaterasu. In mythology, she hid in the place called Amano Iwato, Sky's Iwato, and caused darkness all over Japan. To make her come out again, the gods started partying outside of Amano Iwato, and the goddess of sun got curious and looked through a crack. She eventually came out and never went back again. Suzume's journey is very similar to the mythology. Her world was dark, blacked out, but then she resolved with her memory and trauma, and she walked into the bright morning light. Interestingly enough, the site of Amano Iwato, where the sun goddess hid, is in Miyazaki, where Suzume started her journey. Sota's last name is Munakata. It refers to the Munakata goddesses. They are the leaders of humankind. They ensure safety in the sea and protect the humankind. The piece also has a bunch of Ghibli references. The worm looks like the nature monsters in Princess Mononoke. The songs they play on the drive back home is actually Kiki's Delivery Service's Ming song. Daijin becomes big to protect Suzume. That bears resemblance to Totoro. And there's some like Whisper of the Heart references, Spirited Away references. The dragon from Spirited Away is really similar to the white god that fights the earthworm at the end. So the references are actually endless. People are still discovering more. I encourage you to watch it again to explore. The film also relates to some other themes as well. I thought about the gender roles, the Takashi Murakami works, Haruki Murakami works, and a sense of some melancholic sentiments. About the gender roles, in Suzume, we see many strong, independent female characters who make ends meet for a family. They're supervisors and business owners. They're kind, beautiful, and strong. This reminds me of characters from other films like Nasaka, Valley of the Wind, and Princess Mononoke. The main characters are strong female leaders. In terms of disasters in Japan, scholars like Koikari analyze government posters and grassroots movements and notice a gendered discourse to resilience. There is a reinforcement of gender roles for women to stay at home and take charge of domestic duties in the government's resilience guidelines and some of the grassroots posters. Such a gender discourse is not uncommon. Another example that is not too related to resilience and disaster is women's roles in the students' protests from the New Left movement. Many female students ended up with the domestic role of taking care of the male students by cooking and cleaning. Work like Suzume sets a counterexample that women can be a lot more than that. I think Shinkai is trying to have a commentary here. I forgot where I read this, but he actually was going to have a female door closer leading Suzume rather than Sota, but the producer insisted on the element of romance. Next, I'll talk about the two Murakamis, Takashi Murakami, the artist, and Haruki Murakami, the writer. Takashi Murakami has a super flat movement. He produces artwork that looks cute and good, but has a deeper meaning to it. You can see that in some of his work here. They may look fun from far away, but if you look closely, they are commenting on the atomic bombs. His super flat movement urges the audience to look beyond the flat surface level of things and dig deeper. There's so much more to a work beyond its surface. In Suzume, it's not just about the earthquakes or the romance. It is the sentiments, the loss, the fire, the tsunami, that everything with an earthquake. With Haruki Murakami, I read his work after dark. One big thing that stuck out to me is kind of this interconnectivity he emphasizes. No matter what backgrounds people come from, locations, jobs, family status, we're all interconnected one way or the other. That really speaks to the nature of public culture in a sense. Using Takashi Murakami's words, there's a melting border between art and culture. They're very much connected. And I agree with that. Public culture is a fluid means to examine a society. Works are being produced to contribute to an arena of ideas, norms, images, and conflicts, etc. And people are connected through that medium. In Suzume's case, people are connected through an aspect of the public culture about melancholic belonging. To dive into that, I want to first highlight the bigger recovery mindsets that have been seen quite often in Japan post-World War II. From the 1964 Tokyo Olympics, where the Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor took the Olympic torch and kick-started the Olympics, to the rising middle-class housing that symbolized a good life, to the amazing feat of Shinkansen. There's this recovery sentiment where it is trying to say that Japan is back in the game and Japan is recovering from its past wounds. There is this cool branding around Japan as a nation through its soft power of anime, manga, and infrastructures to make it seem like a peaceful, homogeneous, and cool society. When examining pop culture in Japan, scholar Daniel White sees a melancholic belonging where many marginalized groups do not have a voice under the quote-unquote cool Japan. A recent example is the 2020 Olympics, in which it is branded as a recovery Olympics for the victims from the 3/11 earthquake. But it ended up not doing too much for the victims at all. Despite its branding to the International Olympic Committee, Tokyo Olympics did not do that much for the victims. It seemed cool, but the victims remained voiceless and still struggled. The Olympics and everything have so many more layers to that, and I'm not going to go into it here. At the end of the day, beyond the context and everything, for the sake of Suzume, the movie, for the sake of all the beautiful souls she met along the way, for the sake of whomever needs to hear this. I think what Shinkai is trying to say to everyone is to always remember there is a tomorrow, and morning will come, and it will be beautiful. So live on. Live because you'll be okay.